All right, so welcome back to the show, Congressman Chris Deluzio from Pennsylvania's 17th district. Chris, how's it going?
Jimbo, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for hopping on. For those who don't remember you from being on here over the summer, you and I went to high school together, so we've got a relationship there. But over the past summer, you had a really large role in bringing on the Roberto Clemente Commemorative Coin Act, getting that bill passed. So that was cool to see that get passed earlier this month. But we've got something else cooking. It looks like that has a lot to do with baseball and the game that we all love. But before we get to that, I do want to say one thing. Um, Congratulations on the big football win this past weekend.
I appreciate it, man. Maybe we were dogs against Army this weekend. We were, I think, we 6-point dogs, and we kicked some butt. It was a nice win. And look, Army had a heck of a year. They won the conference. I mean, they had a good team. We showed up. It was a big win for the Mids.
Yeah, Army had a really nice season this year, but I mean that's the game that matters, right? So yeah, big win for Navy. Big win for Navy. So
Look,
congrats on
we
that win.
spend our 4 years at Annapolis, and they do it at West Point. We do it, saying beat Army. I mean, hundreds of times in a week. It is like seared into our brains. So I was pumped for the win.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, so I guess you're on today. Tell us about you are introducing the Fair Ball Act, which is a bill to strengthen worker protections for minor league baseball players. So I guess just fill us in a little bit on this. What's the main reason for the bill? What problem is this going to solve? What's the reason why this thing needs passed?
Yeah, for sure. And look, I introduced this in the House. Dick Durbin from Illinois has it in the Senate. So what's going on? Minor league baseball players for a long time have been paid pretty poorly. I mean, look, some of these guys get big signing bonuses, but a lot of these guys, they don't make much money. And so Major League Baseball a few years back got Congress to give them an exemption from minimum wage and overtime laws for minor league players, which is crazy to think about. The players a couple years back finally voted to unionize and join MLBPA, so with the major league players, and they got a contract about a year ago. And so what my bill does, it says, hey, Major League Baseball, you shouldn't get an exemption for minor league players from minimum wage laws, right? Like they get a carve out that no other employer in the country really gets if they're going to not pay players enough. And what's the point of this? Well, yes, the players in minor league baseball now have a contract. They got a CBA. But if that expires, if that falls through, they should have the protection, like every other worker in this country, of minimum wage laws and overtime laws. And I think it forces these billionaire owners to negotiate with the players union to make sure these guys have a fair contract. That's the goal. Treat these ball players like any other set of workers in this country who have the backstop of minimum wage laws and overtime laws.
Yeah, I think it was 2018. There was a bill passed that gave the exemption to Major League Baseball and when it came to the minor league players. The new CBA, it was a pretty monumental moment where the minor leaguers, actually joined the players union with the new CBA. So they're protected under this CBA, but it sounds like what we're doing with this bill is kind of more like a hey, let's make sure we make this like a law that these guys get paid at least minimum wage, but also as like a fallback if anything ever happens in future CBAs.
Yeah, and think about it. If you're the owners getting ready to negotiate a new contract because the terms are coming up soon, and you know that you can dangle over these players, but they don't even get the protection of minimum wage law, right? They have to fight just for not even something that's a living wage. You've got more power in that negotiation against these players. Players who, by the way, you're a baseball guy, your listeners are, it is really hard to make it to the show. Most of them never will. And these are players who spent their whole lives and careers trying to get to where they are. They ought to have the same benefits under the law that every other kind of worker in this country has. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you've got the support of the players union, right?
Yes, yes, we do. Which is cool, by the way. I think it's pretty cool that the major league players, stand shoulder to shoulder with the minor leaguers here, right?
Okay.
These guys who made it to the show, made it to the big leagues, they've spent at least some time in the minor leagues. They know how hard it is for these players, especially if they're not, a top draft pick. someone who's been spending years, and most minor leaguers will never make it to the show. And so I think it's pretty cool to see the MLBPA and the major leaguers welcome the minor leaguers into the union to help them in these kind of fights. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know before it always seemed like you had the major leaguers negotiating for themselves, and when there were concessions that needed to be made, you saw concessions being made with things like the draft and the minor leagues, because those guys didn't really have a say in anything. So I will say, like, that was a really neat part of the new CBA, was getting those minor leaguers involved so that they're under the at least similar protections of the major league players.
Yeah, for sure. And look, remember, you think about, oh, this isn't a show about politics, but like we're trying to pass a law to help these ball players. There are minor league teams in small towns all over the country. They're a really important thing for a lot of communities. They should want to make sure those players are treated decently. Those teams are strong. The major league owners have a reason to keep minor league baseball around. That's a pretty cool part of Americana.
Yeah, it's unique to baseball too. Like, there's no other sport that's like this, where you can go and, some small town in Illinois, you can see a 19-year-old Albert Pujols 3 years before he makes the majors, and 10, 15 years later, you can say, hey, I saw Albert Pujols when he was in the minor leagues, or if you're a Pirates fan, hey, I saw Andrew McCutcheon, or I saw Paul Skeens pitch in Indianapolis or Altoona. Like, hey, if you live in Altoona, yeah, you want the curve around for sure.
Absolutely. And look, maybe you get a rehab assignment for somebody who's, got a few weeks in AAA ball or something. Like, that's also pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
And
big
by the
too.
way, as like, Major League Baseball and every other pro sport becomes so expensive, the idea that you can take your family and you go see a ball game for a decent price in a lot of these towns, that's like not a small thing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, so without getting into like a civics lesson here, so the bill has been introduced. What's the next step for this thing?
There's only, what's today, the 18th. There's only a couple weeks left of the current Congress. In January, the people who just got elected or reelected, like me, we come into the new Congress. So we'll introduce this again. We got 2 years to try to pass it and send it to the president's desk. In the Senate, that means they've got to get 60 votes because of the filibuster there. In the House, we got to have a simple majority. So the reason I brought up the small towns and the rural communities is, you know, you should be able to get Democrats and Republicans together on this, because Major League Baseball and minor league baseball touch a lot of this country. So that's my hope, is we can get enough folks in both parties to do this, and who understand that billionaire owners of teams have a lot of power, a lot of money, and saying that minor league players should get paid at least minimum wage shouldn't be that controversial.
I agree. I think we can all agree that, like, people should be paid at least minimum wage. So I think that should be something everybody can agree on. And like you mentioned, I mean, this isn't just something for big cities. This is for small town Americana. This is for everybody. This affects just about everybody around the country. So, yeah, that's all I got. Unless you got anything else to add, but I know you're a busy man. It was a busy day today for you. But yeah, you got anything else to add for us for hopping off here?
You had me on, I don't know, last year, Jim, around the congressional baseball game. We got some work to do. My guys lost this year. We're back at it this summer.
All right. Well, good luck. Good luck. Hopefully get a little better performance. But
I'm getting older, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, keep rocking the Pirates jersey though.
Always.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks, Congressman.